What's up guys, time for another update on the VR6 3.4 litre. Today is the day before Dyno Day, so I figured I'd better do an update on the car because a huge amount of things have been done to it since my last video update. So, oh look, there's me, how about that? So gave it a wash, very important before you put it on video on Dyno, but major changes. So, engine mounts. I put a Torque Solutions dog bone gizmo in it and a couple of power something or other out of UK inserts into the mounts to try and stabilize the engine because it was moving around quite a lot, as it does with the stock mounts. It has transferred a bit more vibration to the body, but it's not noticeable when you're driving nice and smoothly. It really only is noticeable when you open the exhaust valves up, which gets me to the next thing. Huge changes on in the induction side. First off, I got rid of the GT3584 RS and put on it's an Aeroflow copy of a G351050 with XR6 spec turbo. It's the 4 litre Aussie Barra inline 6 spec, internal wastegated, 1.06 hot side. And then the 3-inch exhaust. Well, I went through a few variations of exhaust change. Initially it was a 3-inch dump that went down 3 inches to a mid muffler delete and then straight through the factory system, and that seemed to work pretty good. But I decided I wanted to have an active exhaust on it, which was one of those, well, Chinese copy of a, what do you call them, a valve-tronic muffler. They're a nice pretty looking stainless steel thing, but they don't flow. When the valves are shut on it, it is horrifically restrictive, and when they're open, it's loud and still horrifically restrictive. But it's quiet when it's closed, so that's the main thing for quietness. But to get more flow happening, had to make some changes. So 4 inches straight off the turbo, barely squeezing through with a little bit of massaging of the pipe. 4 inches all the way along the bottom to the back where I've got a Y, which splits off to join back into the 3-inch system or dumps straight out with a 4-inch valve that opens with a pneumatic clicker, and that works a treat. The difference that has made to the tune is huge. We're talking maybe probably a 20 to 25% increase in volumetric efficiency and top end on the map, as well as boost response is better. The turbo sings, it comes on a lot sooner. Nothing like getting rid of all your back pressure to make a turbo system work. So next was intercoolers. So I was running a big Aeroflow water to air, allegedly a 1,000-ish horsepower, like whatever. It might have done that on a boat if you're putting seawater through it, or lake water to cool it down, but it was just not cutting it in a car. I did have a big heat exchanger here that occupied the whole front area in front of the AC condenser, and that did two things. It made my AC work rubbish, but yeah, it was just not able to pull the air temps down enough, or at least the coolant temps down enough to make my air temps work. Part of that would have been the air filter was here, so it would have been drawing more hot air from my radiator and then trying to cool it down after pumping it through a turbo through the water to air heat exchanger. But like on a relatively hot day of say 32 degrees outside ambient temps, I was seeing typical air temps of 45. It was around 7 to 8 or so degrees hotter than ambient most of the time. When you got on it and you gave it a hard time, it didn't up the air temps a huge amount. You get maybe a 1 or 2 degree increase. So I suppose in that regard it didn't heat soak. But if you park the car, by God, it'd heat soak. All the heat would get into that coolant that was in the heat exchanger, and then it would take a while of driving to pull that heat out of it before you could get moderate air temps. And this made the car harder to tune and a little bit harder to start. So it was time to change to an air-to-air. So I've gone through 2 variations of air-to-air since then. The standard housing set up with a welded pipe is still there, and I go 90 degrees to here, 90 across the front at the bottom, and then up through 2.5 to revision 1 intercooler was another Aeroflow. I think it was a tube and fin 300 by 600 air-to-air core. And that then comes out 3-inch on this side, goes back up without even any cutting of the bodywork through a 3-inch pipe here up to an 80mm and then onto the throttle. And that seems to work pretty good. But the air-to-air capabilities of a Aeroflow was just not cutting it either. When you give it a bit of a hit, all of a sudden air temp's 50 degrees. So here we go again, just not doing it. So believe it or not, switched out to a China core. And this is a older style bar and plate, but it's massive. It's one of those 700 by 300s. End to end of the tubes is like 880. That's millimeters for us people that use the metric system. Yeah, long story short is you see air temps maybe 2 degrees above ambient, driving around all day, every day. And we've had some hot days in Cairns of late. Yesterday I think it was seeing 36 on dash external temp, and that's really up there. But the other good thing is I'm getting more airflow to my AC condenser now, so my AC is working way better. Pretty happy with that. So you can actually have to, you know, not run it at full cold because it gets so cold in the car. So real good fun. Yeah, oh, and also switching to the better intercooler, the bar and plate. Yeah, it's a bit heavier, but apart from the air temps, I did see a VE bump as well. So I think in top end, my VE numbers are around 145, 150 at 15 PSI on my ECU Master. Those numbers might be a little bit of a lie though. It's a possibility I'm running out of fuel pump, and that's one of the next updates that was supposed to arrive today but hasn't arrived yet. So I'll be tuning around a fuel supply issue tomorrow. But long story short, tomorrow is dyno day. So what I want to achieve on a dyno will be working out where my best settings are for my VVT to get better low end torque, getting the turbo to come on sooner. You know, it's all about torque with big motors. You know, make easy power. You don't have to make a lot of it, just make it easy and make a lot of good low end, big area under the curve. And yeah, after VVT is sorted, then I'll do a few power runs, see how it goes at 15, 16 PSI. On the 3.4 litres, it should certainly be pretty close to 500. One of my other cars is a 3.4 litre, and I think it around 14, 15 pound, it was making 512 to the tyres in a 34 GTR. So that's a low boost setup, and that's what this is about as well. Also, this is about being a cheap ass though. So my E10 fuel, which is like 95 octane Australia, which is like 89 to 90 US, and everything here came out of China for the most part. A lot of Aussie fabrication, and a Aussie rip-off cast XR6 chopped up manifold that was welded to some Aeroflow bends, and everything's a bitzer, but hey, it all works. So that's it. I might start it up so you can hear the difference with the 4-inch exhaust. It is quite a different thing. Opening it up to 4 inches sort of vibrates the whole car when the valves are open. Oh, a couple of interior changes. I've been sourcing bits and pieces slowly, and I've got new carpets coming, black. Seat belts are now black and smell like the lady's perfume from the last owner of those. Oh, baby seat in the back, very important. And oh yeah, and one of those Android MFDs works pretty good. Pretty happy with that thing too. So I'm going to fire it up. So that's valve shut. Warm-up's finished. We're at 90 degrees. Not too loud. When you're driving the car and the aero's around 1500, it's very smooth. You know, you can barely hear it running. It's so quiet. It's got a bit of a weird sound. That would be our Chinese muffler, and a valve, a big 4-inch flapper that doesn't quite seal properly, so it's a permanent exhaust leak, so they say. So that's that. And when you open the valve, it's a different thing. 4 inches straight out. Standard exhaust actually is still in use there too, because the Y pipe piece that splits it off still puts a tiny bit of flow into the old system, the old 3-inch system, but yep, 4 inches. Give it a rev so you can hear it. And that's it. So tomorrow, dyno time, 10:30 in the morning. Hoping for some success and no breakages, and a good result would be nice. Considering it's a very mildly tuned car and I'm not really heavily leaning on anything. Like, it doesn't knock at all at full noise, so very healthy engine. Should produce a good result pretty easily. That's all for now. Cheers.